The room felt heavy with expectation, 5 of them standing there in my living room watching me. My husband's hand rested on my lower back, steady grounding. I'd told him everything. Every desire, every thought I'd kept buried. He hadn't. Judged hadn't questioned. He'd simply listened, and now a week later, he'd brought them his crew. Strong, rugged men who'd been building houses with him for years. They weren't strangers, but they weren't friends either. They were possibilities. Before we dive deeper, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe. It only takes a second, but it helps more than you know. Plus, you won't miss what happens next. Ready? Let's continue. Peter's voice was low against my ear. This is what you wanted. Not a question, a statement. His fingers traced along my spine, sending shivers through me. I could feel their eyes, patient waiting. No rushing, no assumptions, just anticipation hanging thick in the mountain air. I turned to face them fully. Tom, the foreman, stood closest. Broad shoulders, calloused hands, eyes that held mine without wavering. Behind him, the others. Marcus, with his quiet intensity. Jake, whose smile never quite reached his eyes. David, who always moved like he was dancing, and Chris, the youngest, still learning, but eager to prove himself. Nicole. Tom said my name, rolling off his tongue like he'd been practicing it. Your husband told us enough. His gaze swept over me, appreciative, but controlled. We're here because we want to be. The first touch was tentative. Marcus stepping forward, his fingers grazing my arm. Such a simple gesture, but it sparked something. Heat bloomed under my skin, spreading outward. Peter's hand tightened slightly on my waist. Not possessive, just present. Reminding me he was there, that this was our choice. Jake moved next, circling behind me. His breath warmed my neck as he leaned close, not quite touching. Beautiful, he murmured, and I felt the word more than heard it. The space between us crackled with possibility, then everything shifted. Hands found me, gentle but sure. Tom's rough palms cupped my face, tilting it up. His kiss was slow, exploratory, like he was learning. A new language. Behind me. Jake's fingers worked at the zipper of my dress, each tooth releasing with deliberate care. Fabric whispered against skin as it fell away. The cool air kissed my shoulders, my back raising goosebumps that had nothing to do with temperature. David knelt, his artist's hands tracing patterns on my calves, working upward with reverent attention. Look at her. Chris breathed wonder, coloring his voice. I opened my eyes. When had I closed them? To find him watching. With undisguised awe, youth and experience mingled in his gaze, making me feel both powerful and vulnerable. Marcus guided me backward until my legs met the couch. He eased me down, his touch firm but unhurried. Tom followed, never breaking our kiss, his weight settling beside me. The leather was cool against my heated skin, grounding me in the moment. Peter appeared in my peripheral vision, settling into the armchair across from us. His eyes were dark, intense, drinking in every detail. This wasn't just about me anymore. This was about us, about trust deep enough to share everything. Jake's hands worked magic on my shoulders, kneading away tension. I hadn't realized I carried David's mouth, found my ankle pressing kisses up. My calf with deliberate slowness. Each touch layered sensation upon sensation, building something intricate and overwhelming. When Tom finally pulled back, I was breathless. He studied my face, thumb stroking my cheek. Tell us what you need, he said softly. Such simple words, but they unlocked something primal. Everything. I whispered. I need everything. The word hung between us, permission and plea combined. Tom nodded once, understanding passing between us. He shifted, making room as Marcus leaned in, his kiss different, deeper, more demanding. Where Tom had explored, Marcus conquered. My back arched as David's mouth found sensitive skin behind my knee. Such an unexpected place to discover pleasure, but he seemed to know exactly where to touch, where to linger. Jake's hands had moved to my hair fingers, threading through it, tilting my head to deepen Marcus's kiss. Chris watched for a moment longer before joining his younger hands, tentative at first, on my thigh. But when I pressed into his touch, Encouraging, he grew bolder. His fingers traced patterns that made me shiver. Each design more intricate than the last. Time became fluid. I lost track of whose hands were where, whose lips pressed against my skin. They moved like they'd choreographed this. Never crowding, never overwhelming, just flowing around me like water. Each man brought something different. Tom's steady strength, Marcus's intensity, Jake's playfulness, David's artistry. Chris's eager discovery. A gasp escaped me as someone, David I think, found that spot just below my navel that always made me melt. They learned my body like musicians learning a new instrument, finding which touches produced, which sounds, which rhythms made me move. Peter's presence anchored me. Even lost in sensation, I could feel his gaze, hear his quiet sounds of approval. This was his gift to me, to us. Trust made manifest love, expressed through letting go. The couch became too confining. Strong hands lifted me, carried me to the thick rug before the fireplace. The flames cast dancing shadows, painting skin in gold and amber. They arranged themselves around me, a constellation of desire with me at its center. Tom stretched out beside me, his hand spanning my waist. Marcus knelt between my legs, his intention clear in every line of his body. Jake positioned himself near my head, fingers still playing with my hair. David and Chris flanked us, their hands, never still, always finding new places to explore. Ready? Marcus asked, his voice rough with want. I nodded beyond words, now my body speaking its own language. He moved with careful precision, watching my face for any sign of discomfort. There was none. Only the sweet ache of finally having what I'd craved. The rhythm they found was hypnotic. Marcus set the pace slow and deep, while the others followed his lead. Tom's mouth found my throat. Jake's fingers traced my lips. David's hands shaped my curves. Chris's touch fluttered like butterfly wings along my ribs. Pressure built gradually, inevitably. Each sensation layered upon the last, creating something greater than the sum of its parts. My breath came in gasps. My body, moving of its own accord, seeking more, always more. That's it, Tom murmured against my ear. Let go, we've got you. And I did. The wave crashed over me, through me, leaving me trembling and gasping. But they didn't stop, didn't slow. Marcus maintained his steady rhythm while the others shifted, changed positions, kept the sensations flowing. Jake took Marcus's place while Marcus moved to kneel beside my head. The transition was seamless, one pleasure flowing into the next. Jake's approach was different, playful where Marcus had been, intense teasing where he'd been direct. The contrast made me arch, seeking more of this new sensation. Chris's mouth replaced David's hands on my stomach, his inexperience showing in his eagerness. But what he lacked in technique, he made up for in enthusiasm. Every kiss, every touch was a discovery for him, and his wonder was infectious. David stretched out on my other side, opposite Tom. Together, they created a framework of sensation, their touches complementing each other perfectly. One would stroke, while the other pressed, one would tease, while the other soothed. The second wave built faster, stronger. Jake had found exactly the right angle, the perfect rhythm, combined with everyone else's ministrations. It was overwhelming in the best way. My fingers tangled in the rug, seeking anchor in the storm of pleasure. This time, when I crested, a sound tore from my throat, primal, uninhibited. Jake groaned in response, his control slipping. He followed me over his body, tensing, then shuddering against mine. Before I could catch my breath, they moved again. Chris took center stage now, his youth balanced by surprising intuition. He paid attention, had been watching. Learning, his movements were careful but confident. Each thrust measured to draw maximum response. Tom and David switched to focus on my upper body, their mouths and hands working in tandem. One would kiss while the other nipped, one would soothe while the other inflamed. The dichotomy was intoxicating. Marcus's fingers threaded through my hair, tilting my head back. His kiss was upside down, deep, consuming. Jake recovered, now traced lazy patterns on my thigh, building anticipation for whatever came next. The third wave was different, slower to build but deeper, more encompassing. Chris had found his rhythm, found what made me gasp and arch. The others seemed to sense the change, their touches becoming more focused, more intentional. When it hit, it was like lightning, bright electric, all-consuming. My body bowed off the rug, every muscle taut. Chris made a strangled sound, his own release triggered by mine. In the aftermath, they gathered around me, a tangle of limbs and satisfied sighs. The fire crackled, casting warmth over sweat-cooled skin. Someone, David I think, pulled a throw blanket. Over us, Peter rose from his chair, crossing to kneel beside us. His hand found mine, fingers interlacing. "Was it everything you wanted?" he asked softly. I turned to look at him, taking in his flushed face, his bright eyes. He'd enjoyed this as much as I had in his own way. Everything and more. I whispered. The men began to stir, murmuring about heading home, but something in me wasn't ready for this to end. "Stay," I said, surprising myself with the firmness in my voice. "All of you. Stay." They exchanged glances, then looked to Peter. He smiled, nodding. "The guest rooms are made up," he said, "and tomorrow's Sunday. No one has anywhere to be." Relief and anticipation mingled in their faces. This night had changed something. Fundamental opened doors. We couldn't close even if we wanted to, which we didn't. Later, much later. Peter and I lay in our bed. The house was quiet. Our guests settled in their rooms, his arm draped over my waist, pulling me close. "Thank you," I whispered into the darkness. "For what?" His voice was drowsy but warm. "For understanding, for not judging, for making it happen." He pressed a kiss to my shoulder. "I love you," he said simply. "All of you, even the parts that need more than I can give alone." Tears pricked my eyes. Gratitude, love, and something deeper. "I love you too so much, good." His hand stroked my hip lazily. "Because I was thinking maybe next time we could invite them for a whole weekend." A laugh bubbled up from my chest. "Already planning next time, aren't you?" I turned in his arms, finding his face in the moonlight. His expression was open, accepting, loving. "Yeah." I admitted, "I am." He kissed me, then slow and deep, reminding me that no matter how many others joined us, this, us, was the foundation. Everything else built upon. Morning brought coffee and easy conversation. The men moved around our kitchen like they belonged there, like this was normal. And maybe it was becoming. Our new normal. Tom made pancakes while Marcus squeezed fresh orange juice. Jake and David debated the Broncos' chances this season. Chris sat quietly, still processing everything. I padded in wearing Peter's robe, earning appreciative looks, but no awkwardness. These men had seen every inch of me, had touched and tasted and known me completely. Mourning after shyness seemed pointless. "Sleep well?" Tom asked, sliding a perfectly golden pancake onto a plate. "Best sleep in years," I admitted, accepting the plate. Our fingers brushed, sending a tiny thrill through me. Even now, even satisfied, the potential for more hummed beneath my skin. Peter appeared behind me, his hands settling on my waist. "So," he said conversationally, "who's up for a hike later? The weather's supposed to be perfect." Agreement chorused around the table. Normal conversation, normal plans, but with an undercurrent of possibility. We all knew what had changed, what could happen again. The question wasn't if but when, as I watched them, these men who'd given me everything I'd dreamed of and more, I realized something. My hunger hadn't been sated, it had been awakened. And judging by the looks they kept sending my way, they knew it too. Peter's lips brushed my ear. "Happy?" I leaned back into him, surveying our kitchen full of possibilities. Ecstatic. "Good." His arms tightened around me, because I have a feeling this is just the beginning. He was right. That night had been a door, opening, not closing. A first chapter, not an ending. And as Tom refilled my coffee, his fingers lingering on mine as Marcus sent me a slow smile, as Jake winked playfully, as David's artist eyes traced my silhouette as Chris blushed, but held. My gaze. I knew we were all thinking the same thing. What would we explore next? Some desires once awakened can never sleep again. Have you ever discovered something about yourself that changed everything? Something that opened doors you didn't even know existed? I want to hear about it. Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss what comes next. Trust me, the best is yet to come.